Hi, my name is Tom Fitz. I'm a software developer for IBM TRIRIGA. This presentation will cover new features in object labeling and revisioning in IBM TRIRIGA Application Platform 3.5.3. The agenda for this presentation will cover new features in the Object Label Manager. This includes the In Progress Objects tab and the ability to selectively choose which object to apply a label to. Also covered in this presentation will be object revisioning. This covers business object revert, form revert, query revert, the new detail column of revision lists, and the revision suspended label. At the end of the presentation, I will also point you to best practices, documentation, and other reference materials. Object Label Manager. So new features of Object Label Manager include the In Progress Objects tab and the ability to selectively choose which objects to apply label to. Note that this presentation covers new features of the Object Label Manager. Please see the TRIRIGA Object Revisions and Labels Wiki for more information on the Object Label Manager. The link to the wiki is right here. This wiki also includes a full set of resources and best practices documentation, and also links to previous presentations. So the following two slides that I'm going to show here show the 15 object labels that IBM TRIRIGA delivers. Note that IBM 10.5.3, which is shown on this slide, and IBM TAP :3.5.3 are new labels delivered with TRIRIGA Application Platform 3.5.3. This is a screenshot of the Object Label Manager landing page, which shows the delivered labels just mentioned. So the Object Label Manager In Progress tab. This new tab allows you to easily view all objects that are currently labeled in progress directly from the Open Object Label Record definition. Previously, you had to physically open the In Progress Object Label Record definition to view this data. This new tab also gives you the ability to selectively choose which object to apply the label to. Previously, this capability was not possible, and the apply label process would always label all objects that were in progress. This screenshot shows the In Progress tab of an object label record definition. Highlighted are the checkboxes next to each In Progress object. So what this screenshot shows is you'll want to select the objects to apply a label to, and then click the Apply Label link. This is how you would selectively label particular objects. And I will show you a demo of how this works. So I'm logging into TRIRIGA, and I will navigate over to the Object Label Manager landing page. In this landing page, you'll see that these are all the object labels that IBM delivers, which I previously showed you. And then here I have two custom labels. I will go ahead and open my company 2.0, which is a custom label I created. So here's the object label definition for the My Company 2.0 object label. I will first show you the Labeled Objects tab. Currently, you'll see I have nothing labeled on this object label. So no objects are yet part of this object label. And then here's the new In Progress Objects tab. You can see currently in my system I have 4 In Progress objects. Now what I want to do is I do not want to label all of these to my new custom label. I just want to selectively choose a couple. So for the purpose of this demo, I am going to select the tri-floor form and this query called tri-floor find active floors for design change results. These are the labels that I want to give my company 2.0 label to. So what I will do now is I will click Apply Label, and I will get a message that says you are about to relabel the selected objects that are currently labeled in progress. Do you want to proceed? I click OK, and now you'll see that those 2 selected objects disappear from the In Progress Objects tab. So what this basically means is those are now labeled with my company 2.0 custom label here, and I still have 2 remaining In Progress objects. I will now click the Label Objects tab, and you will see that my 2 objects are now part of this object label. So that demo pretty much demonstrates how you would selectively view, or how you would selectively choose which objects to apply to an object label. Object revisioning. So new features of object revisioning include the ability to revert to previous revisions of an object, a new detail column on the revision list which indicates how the revision was created, and the new revision suspended label. This indicates if in progress objects have been overridden by either an object migration import or reverting to a previous revision. As with Object Label Manager, this presentation will only cover the new features of object revisioning, so please see the wiki listed on this slide for more information on object revisioning. So reverting to a previous revision of an object. So reverting to previous revisions of workflows has always been supported. What we did for this release is we added a new link called Publish with Object Label, which I will cover later. Reverting to previous revisions are now supported on forms, queries, and business objects. Objects that support revisions but do not yet support reverting to previous revisions, those are modules, navigation collections, navigation items, portals, portal sections, groups, and UX metadata. So essentially with this release we've added revisioning support on forms, queries, and business objects. So with revisioning, there is there will be a user confirmation message that displays when reverting to previous revisions. So the users, when they want to revert to a previous revision of an object, they must confirm that they want to proceed with the reversion process. So they'll see a general warning message displaying the impact of reverting an object, and then they'll have OK or cancel buttons which are used whether or not they want to proceed with the reversion or not. The ability to compare current revisions with the revision reverting to is also a capability on the confirmation message, And on the confirmation message, you also see an Apply in Progress label checkbox. When this checkbox is selected, the In Progress label will be given to the new revision. When it's deselected, the object label of the object reverting to will be given to the new revision. This deselected is the default for this checkbox. Fields not defined on revision section. This one is only applicable for business object reversioning. It lists the business objects fields that will be removed when reverting to previous revisions. Also within this section is a where used link, which is next to each field that will be removed. And also note that business objects will not be able to revert if a field that will be removed is being used by another object. And then note that the user confirmation message is not applicable for workflow reversions. So this slide shows an example of the user confirmation message. And this is the general warning that gets displayed to users. This change might impact objects that depend on this business object you want to proceed. Also note here is the Apply in Progress label checkbox that I mentioned on the previous slide. So with this selected, the reversion process will automatically give the In Progress object label to the new revision. In this example, we show the compare revision link, and this is also something that you can do on the user confirmation message. When you click this link, it will basically compare the latest revision of the object to the object reverting to. So notice here in this particular example, there's a difference between my latest revision and the one I'm going to, and it looks like there's a new description on my current object, and the one reverting to does not have this description. And that is shown in the comparison results at the bottom of the confirmation message. So this shows an example of revisioning on a form. So basically you'll want to select the object you want to revert to and click Publish. So here I want to revert to revision 2 of this particular form, and I would want to click Publish to do that. And this shows an example of revisioning on a query. So once again, you select the object you want to revert to, and then here you click the Apply Revision link. So now I'm going to show you a demo of reverting to a previous revision of form and queries. So back within TRIRIGA, let's first show you an example of reverting to a previous revision of a form. So I'm showing you an example, or this example shows the tri-floor form. I haven't really made a whole lot of changes here. I wanted to keep it simple for the purpose of this demo, so I added a new description to this particular form in my latest revision. So this would be, and this is a customization which I labeled, which already has the label My Company 2.0, and that was done basically from the previous, from the steps we ran in the previous demo. So let's say now I want to revert back to revision 1 of this floor. What I would do here is I would select revision 1 and click Publish. And then here's the confirmation message. I want to compare the results to see what's going to change after doing this revision, and it And the comparison results are displayed down at the bottom of the message, and it shows everything that's different. And then here you see the one difference I showed you earlier, and that's the description. So if I revert to the previous revision, the description will disappear. I will click OK because I'm okay with doing the reversion. And now you'll see revision 3 gets created, and it has the object label of revision 1. And then you'll see in the detail column here, which I'll discuss later in this presentation, but you'll actually see that this came from revision 1. And then we can go back to the layout of this form, and you'll see that that description is no longer there. This is just to prove that the reversion happened. Now, let me give you a quick demo of, let's say I want to go back to my revision 2. This time, I'm going to select the Apply in Progress labeled checkbox. What will happen here is when I click OK, the label applied to the new revision will be in progress. So let's go ahead and click OK. Then the new revision happens. Now I'm on revision 4, and you'll see that the label is in progress because I had the Apply label in progress, or Apply in Progress label checkbox selected. And if we come back, you will see that my description is back on this object. Okay, so let's exit out of here. And let's show you reversioning on query. So similar to the form example, I just added a new description here to keep the example simple. If we go to the revision tab, you'll see I have 2 revisions of this query. The latest one has the My Company 2.0 label. If I want to go back to revision 1, I'll select the checkbox by the first revision and click Apply Revision. I get the message. Let's run a compare just to see what's changed. And here you'll see that my description has changed as one of the changes. So let's say, okay, I'll go ahead and continue with the reversion. And now you'll see I have a revision 3. It has the previous label on it. You can notice that the description is no longer there to prove that the revision happened. And then once again, I'll just want to go back to revision 2, and then I'll click the Apply Revision link here, and I just want to show you that the Apply in Progress label, the in Progress label checkbox works for queries as well. So I click OK, and you'll see here that the new revision is created with in progress, the in progress label. And my description is back that I previously had to prove that the revision took place. So that covers the demo for reverting of forms and queries. Now I would like to go over reversioning of business objects, because this is a little bit different. Similar but different. So similar in that from the revision list of the business object, you'll select the revision you want to revert to and click the Publish link. Note here that the object publish agent needs to be running for business object reversion process to complete. It's actually much like the normal publish process of a business object, where if you publish a business object, it will not complete the publish process unless the object publish agent is running. So the same thing here. You must have the object publish agent running in order for the reversion process to complete. Also note, the business object revision list does not automatically refresh when the reversion process completes. You must exit the revision list and re-enter to see the new revision. But here this shows an example of after the revision process. I now have a revision 3. There are a few differences with the business object reversion user confirmation message. If there are no business object fields being removed by the reversion process, the message and functionality will be the same as the user confirmation for the other objects. So this basically shows that. So it looks very similar to what we just showed in the demo. But if fields are detected that will be removed by reverting to a previous revision, the fields not defined section on the fields not defined on revision section will display. This will list the fields that will be removed. So in this particular slide, you see I have 2 fields that are being removed. As mentioned, this is unique to reverting on business objects. The other objects do not warn of fields being removed on revert. Also note, next to these fields, you'll see a where used link. Next to each field, there's a where used link, and this is where you can view all the objects that is using the particular field. So note that you will not be able to revert a business object if any of the fields being removed are in use by another object. So when you click the where used link by an object, a dialog will open where the field is being used. In this screenshot, we see that the field is being used by the try building form. If the field is not being used by another object, you will see the message no usage found when clicking the where used link. So after analyzing and resolving all the fields that will be removed, click the OK button to proceed with the revision. If any field is still in use by another object, so any field that you're removing that's going to be removed on the revert is in use by another object, you will receive a message. This screenshot shows this message, and it basically says you cannot revert this business object to the selected revision because at least one field that is in use by another object would be removed. Reverting workflows. So now we'll jump to workflows. So with reversion of workflows, we added a new link called Publish with Object Label. This link appears when viewing the workflow revision list. When this link is clicked, the new revision will be given the object label of the revision reverting to. So here I'm going to revert to this previous revision and then click the Publish with Object Label link. And then this screenshot shows that the new revision is given the object label of the revision reverted to. The existing Publish link behavior is the same as in the previous release. So when the Publish link is clicked, the new revision will be given the in progress label and not the object label of the revision reverting to. And once again, this behavior has not changed since the previous release. So the screenshot shows the new revision is given the in progress label. So the revision list detail column. This is a new column added to the object revision lists, which indicates where the revision was created from. So if the revision was created from an object migration import, it will indicate, this column will indicate OM imported : and then the package name. So for example, the column will say OM imported my import package, if that's the name of the package. This is supported on all objects that have a revision list. If the revision was created by reverting to a previous revision, it will indicate from revision followed by the revision number, for example, from revision : 4. This is only supported on the objects that support reversioning. So, for example, this is not supported on modules, navigation collections, navigation items, portals, portal sections, groups, or UX metadata. And then the detail column will be blank for standard object modifications. And as previously mentioned, the detail column is supported on all objects that have a revision list. And then here are some examples. So here's the detail column on the business object revision list. So you could see that revision 7 and 6 here were OM imported, then the name of the package, it says the name of the package, which is OM for revisioning demo. And then you can see that revision 4 and 3, those came from reverting to previous revisions. So for example, revision 4 says it was created from revision 2. And this is what the detail column looks like on a form. Very similar. For the ones that were coming from OM imports, it'll list it'll say OM imported and the package name. Or if it came from revert, it will say from what revision it came to. And also, as mentioned, anything that's blank, those are just standard object modifications. For example, you modify a form and publish it. Those will not show anything in the detail column for those revisions. And then here's what it looks like for query. And then similar for workflow. And then I didn't put screenshots in here for modules, navigation collections, navigation items, portals, portal sections, and UX metadata, but essentially it's the same thing. Except for those items, we don't support reversioning on. So the only thing in the detail column for those items I just mentioned would be the OM imported information. The revision suspended label. So this is a new label in TRIRIGA Application Platform 3.5.3, which indicates if an in-progress object has been overwritten by either the object migration import process or the object revert process. An object migration import can overwrite an in-progress object if the object being imported has a label other than in-progress. And then for reverting to a previous revision, reverting to previous revisions can overwrite an in-progress object if the object being reverted to has a label other than in progress. And also, if you're reverting to a revision that has the revision suspended label, the new revision will be given the in-progress label. And then revision suspended label is supported on all objects that have a revision list. So this new revision suspended label makes a warning message from the previous release no longer applicable. It was somewhat of a confusing message that occurred when applying an object label, and an object being labeled was detected where the latest revision of that object had a label of something other than in progress. So this screenshot shows the message you would see in that situation when trying to apply an object label to in-progress objects, you will no longer see this warning message. So before I go into a demo of this, this slide basically shows the end result of a reverted object. You can see revision 8 and 7 have the revision suspended label. So essentially prior to reverting to revision 1, these objects both had the in progress label. But since revision 1 overwrote what was in progress, the revision 8 and revision 7 flipped to have the revision suspended label. And now I will show you a demo of this new revision suspended label when reverting to previous revisions. So let's show this with forms. We could show the we could use the tri-floor form that I was previously using. So what I will do here is let's just go ahead and, well, let's see, I might still have, okay, so this label here is still in progress from the previous demo, from a demo we did earlier in this presentation. So what happens here is if I want to revert to revision 2 of this form, what's going to happen is I'll go ahead and do the revision and click OK to accept the revert. You will see that revision 4 now became revision suspended. So essentially what happened is the object in revision 2 had a label called My Company 2.0. Any changes that were going on in revision 4 have now been overwritten, and they were overwritten with this object, with the object from revision 2, which had the My Company 2.0 label. And let's show it again. Let's just go ahead and we'll make a change to the description field too to show it again in real time. So let's just say a modified description just to force a new, just to force this object into the in progress state. Oops, we should revise first. And let's go ahead and do it. And let's go ahead and give this the description. Description. Okay, let's go ahead and apply the changes and publish the form. Okay, so here you'll see that my new revision 6 is in progress because it hasn't been labeled yet. And this time I will say, hey, I want to revert to revision 3. So let's go ahead and select the revision 3 and click Publish. Click OK. And then once again, you'll see that the new revision 7 gets created with the label from revision 3 and any in progress label or the changes that I previously were doing with the in progress that had the in progress label on revision 6, that label now says revision suspended. And then another thing to note here, if you do go back to a label that says revision suspended, so if I want to revert to revision 4, where this label has the revision suspended label, and I publish this one, what will happen is the new revision, the object label of the new revision will automatically be in progress. So let's go ahead and show that. So you can see the new revision is created with the in progress label. And so that will just happen automatically if I try to revert to something that says, that will happen automatically if I try to revert to something that has the revision suspended label. So the following slides show the functionality during object migration import. As mentioned, object migration will also show the in progress or the revision suspended label if an in progress object gets overwritten. So here you can see the latest revision of this object, revision 10, is in progress. And then the next slide shows what happens after an object migration package comes in. And so you'll notice that after the OM import, the latest revisions are given the object label from the import package, which is My Company 1.0, and revision 10 is now, since it's been overwritten, is now labeled revision suspended. Note that you see two revisions being brought in by the OM import, revision 11 and 12. This is expected due to OM import's two-pass functionality. So known limitations, these were also previously mentioned, but when you revert to previous object revisions, so this process, the revisioning process, is currently not supported on the following objects: modules, navigation collections, navigation items, portal sections, groups, and UX metadata. Business object revision list does not automatically refresh when the reversion process completes, so you have to exit the revision list and re-enter to force the refresh. And this slide shows you where you could find the best practices documentation and other reference materials. There's a link to that wiki I mentioned earlier in the presentation. Also note that this wiki includes a best practices guide for upgrading TRIRIGA applications. This details the best practices for using object labeling in revisioning features. The above wiki also includes best practices guide for converting renamed objects back to the TRIRIGA ship names. So this details the best practices for using object labeling and revisioning features to convert CST objects back to TRIRIGA ship names. And as also mentioned, this wiki has a lot of information, including documentation and presentations from previous releases. So this concludes the presentation. Thanks for viewing.